Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about training metrics and what that is. A training matrix typically refers to a structured document or database used in the context of employee training and development within an organization. It is a tool that helps track and manage training progress of employees, ensure that they acquire the necessary skills and knowledge to perform their job roles effectively. Key components of training matrix that would be uh, many different ways how you can potentially do that. You might want to consider some of the softwares available online, or perhaps even having a spreadsheet. And if you would structure on a spreadsheet, it could begin with employee name and perhaps number, department if you want to have particular departments. You can structure based on priorities. There's so many different ways how you can structure. If you would start perhaps with employee name, it could be tied with payroll, so it potentially can have a code, but either way, if you begin with the name, a list of all employees who require training or have received training. Then a training course or module, a list of the training courses or modules available within the organization. This could include topics such as compliance training, job specific skills, safety training, and any kind of specific training that I have mentioned already or I'll be mentioning in the future, that a person can perform particular tasks, usually to those that might require training, would involve more or less safety training, working with some kind of machinery or even cleaning. And if that's what they require, perhaps particular chemicals, I would definitely consider overall health and safety. There's a different training structures. I can do next video on that. I'll touch on that in a minute. But overall training requirements, this section outlines the specific training requirements for each employee. It may specify with courses or modules that are mandatory, recommended, or optional for different job roles or positions. If a person is just starting out, you might want to consider like a base course just to get the person moving, and from there you can structure it within departments and starting from basic and perhaps progress from there. It's just optimizing time and making use of most of the time and being most effective with it. Training status, a record of where the employee has completed a particular training course or module. This may include data of completion and perhaps it is so many things that can be covered. Perhaps priorities based on those. Prioritize some of the training. What you don't want to make it too difficult, other than perhaps having uh, low, medium, and high. That's one way of doing it. But if you're just starting out, perhaps just to have very basic template, that might be a good thing to begin with. Training progress, this could be in the form of checkboxes, percentage, or any other indicators to show how far along employees have been completing this required training. Some of the trainings might require technical as well as practical approaches, and you might consider having a combination of two. As well as for particular tasks, you might have a structure where it will be required at least a minimum of 2 weeks of or shadowing someone, perhaps who has been with that particular role for quite some time, and perhaps that employee can shadow someone for 2 weeks, just to bring everyone up to speed as fast as possible. That's one way to approach it, as well as monitor progress. Training schedule, if applicable, the matrix may include the schedule that outlines the specific training sessions or courses are offered with particular areas. Uh, you might want to have a structure from the top down, so a person who is going to be responsible for everything, if not for most everything, You might will consider having that person allocating particular tasks and responsibilities of how that person prefer of managing group of people and what kind of training he believes that would be the best and how fast they can train, while you yourself will oversee all the processes. Training evaluation. Some metrics include a section for evaluating an effectiveness of the training, often throughout employee feedback or assessment scores. Or there's many ways how to do it. One system that you can or consider having it might be holding people accountable for what they are doing and having tracking system on the production as well as that would be tied with your overall training. And if at some, for whatever reason there would be a lot of mistakes with regards to quality, since quality checks would need to be done at some point. If a lot of issues would be picked up by a quality department, you can always come back and do retraining or perhaps improve training if that's an option. So you can retain task and as well as perhaps optimize certain procedures as well as perhaps offering your customers best type of product or services. Supervisor, manager, and sign off. I would definitely consider doing that. Once an employee completes their required training, their supervisor or manager may need to sign off to confirm that training has been completed. If that person is going to be a responsible person for that person who just received training, you might consider implementing that supervisor or manager would oversee all operations and who's been trained on what and what's the quality of that training, and if that can prevent a lot of issues happening down the line. Training metrics help HR department and management ensure that the employee receives necessary training and development opportunities, meet compliance requirements, and stay up to date with relevant skills and knowledge. As well as it definitely prevents a lot of issues, as well as having a structure, how you would like to introduce perhaps a particular training, as well how you can upskill your workforce, especially if you working in a seasonal environment. You might consider occasionally, if that's an option depending on what industry you are in, you might consider on the quiet seasons improve all of show people around so you can improve skills and knowledge of your workforce, entire workforce. That's an option, but it might have a slight dip in overall performance. But other than that, if your organization is considering seasons, that might be one of the ways to approach it. I have published a book. Name of the book is Game Strategy: How You Should Approach Business, What Understanding You Should Have Before Venturing into your business, when starting a business, what information you should know or have, and from there, once you started, as well as there's going to be a lot of information for people who already started the business, investors, as well as long-time business owners. There's a little bit for everyone, as well as we're making a lot of wild predictions of what future will bring and where market is going to be in next 5, 10, or 15, 20 years from now. Making a lot of wild claims in a book, as well as looking to share this book with as many people as possible. You can find this book in the description, as well as top retailers. A lot of businesses have different approaches when it comes to record keeping, especially when it comes to training. You might consider having physical copies of everything when it comes to how you're currently doing training, as well as physical copies, as well as perhaps digital copies. One of those ways how you can do it and how you can structure that would be training matches. Myself, I find it very easy to use comparatively perhaps to other methods, but as well as perhaps there are different softwares available, and you need to take that into account, especially if you're looking to hire a lot of seasoned staff, and how you're gonna go through the process of perhaps bringing people on board, what kind of training you need to have in place, who's gonna be doing that training, how long that will take, and how long it will take overall, and how much that will cost for your overall business to get that person online after perhaps 2 months, 3 months, perhaps 6 months, depending on what kind of area you're gonna be training that person on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.